I got to talk to you about something. Yesterday evening, I came out to this forest. I wanted to record a video and shoot a couple of images. And it was raining a little bit, but totally fine. They would have fit with the conditions. It would have been fine. But then as I arrived here, it started chucking down completely. I went for the hike anyway, and then basically I ended up hiking through the forest for about an hour in a complete rain, got completely soaked, and I didn't even get away with any video or any image at all. And especially if you're starting out in landscape photography, that's really important to know. A lot of the days it's just going to be like that. Shitty conditions, miserable, and then to top it all off, you're not even getting away with anything at all. However, I found a scene that I found quite compelling, so yeah, returned here today, let's talk about that. So while hiking yesterday, I came across a couple of bushes, and this one in particular stood out to me just because of its very vibrant and red color. And it just happens to be that this bush is surrounded by some other colors, some yellowish colors, some green, but also like a tree. And it's quite an interesting shape to it just because of the way that the branches are formed. So shooting this as my first image, and normally if you shoot a tree, you want to give it some breathing space. So you want to zoom out a little bit further and let it sit there in its surroundings just to give it some space and yeah, get the viewer to give it attention. But in this one, I'm going to fully zoom in. So I'm probably even going to cut the tree off in a couple of places because I really want you to focus on the color and the structure. So this might very well turn out more as like an abstract shot than you would normally think of as a woodland image or like an autumn image. Yeah, but I'm quite interested in your opinion, so please write a comment. Now, coming back to yesterday, do I regret being out in the rain for about an hour, getting wet, not getting away with anything at all? No, I don't. It was a great experience. I was actually quite happy after that. I think it was a much better experience to just stay at home, look through the window, get on the computer and do some half-fulfilling work that I could have done any time of the day. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about starting landscape photography, this is something to keep in mind. A lot of the days it's just going to be misery. However, it's not as miserable as it might seem. It can actually be quite fulfilling. Yeah, what exactly is he trying to photograph over there? That's a very good question. Okay, for this image I took a little bit of inspiration from one of the images that I shot I think a week ago in the video, where I captured a couple of mushrooms on a tree stump. This is very similar. I found this mushroom family, so to speak, and there's a branch sitting on top of it which is kind of splitting it. It just looks very interesting. The texture, the color just caught my interest very quickly because there are a lot of mushrooms on this tree stump, but this one in particular quite sticking out to me. So what you would normally do, which is exactly what I've done last time, is to take it to wide angle and then try to frame it up in a close-up shot. And that didn't quite work because I couldn't get the camera in a position where I could do that. So now I'll switch to my telezoom and I'm shooting beneath this branch and above this branch over here, like right through. And then I'm taking basically a portrait of this mushroom family, a close-up portrait. God, I hope no one is hearing what I'm saying. if you can resonate with what I just said of taking a portrait of a mushroom family and didn't just switch off the video, you might actually like my style of photography. And I have a photography course available. It's the first link in the description, and I teach you everything you need to know about landscape photography. Being out in the field, settings of your camera, tips and tricks, and also post-processing. So you might be interested in that, check it out. Or if you do just like my images, you may want to have some of them framed up on your wall in the living room or something like that. I have a whole bunch of them available. It's also in the description. Oh man, shouldn't have talked too much about the rain, because here we are. Let's not get too caught up in the rain, because I found a very interesting composition. The scene is very hard to describe. What first caught my attention was the interaction of colors. So we have some autumn colors on the left and on the right side, which basically frames up the shot. And then they are interacting with some of the pine trees, which still have a lot of very saturated and very dark, strong green on the stems. And that caught my interest in the first place, because it was basically like a frame up. You have these autumn colors on the side, and then these very strong greens. There's a lot of contrast in the middle. But then zooming in on the camera, I could see that there was almost like a pattern going on. So again, this is gonna be an abstract shot. This is very hard to explain, but when I'm zooming on the camera, I get the telecompression effect, which basically compresses the image, which obviously is 3D, onto this 2D image plane of the camera sensor. And for some reason, it makes this image super appealing, because on the 2D plane, it just creates so much harmony and balance and so much interest with the colors. And instantly when I saw this on the back of the camera, I already knew like an abstract shot and quite interesting. And oh man, I'm loving this. This is so great. Because it's so often that you have a scene which looks incredibly beautiful to the eye, but then when you turn on the camera, it just doesn't quite work. And in this scene, it was the opposite. To the eye, it was just, okay, some colors, some interest. But on the camera, with the telecompression, it just worked. So yeah, really curious to hear your opinion on this image. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like, share, subscribe, that really helps the channel. If you want to see more of my videos, I have an on location playlist in the description. I hope you enjoyed this one, and see you in the next one.